here with another chat. Today feels more flow of consciousness, like my older days. My apologies if the glare off my glasses is a little distracting. Just wanted to give my eyes some rest. Let's get started. Something that has been sitting with me for just a couple of days. 3 things. Community, aligned community, communication, and comprehension. And I think I spoke a little bit about it in one of my other videos about communication and comprehension, or maybe I just mentioned it. I think it's time to start, or at least for me. I don't want to speak in a sense that like everyone, this is what we're thinking about right now. That's not my interest and that's not my aim. But something, as I said, it's been coming up for me is community versus like, okay, cars. Community versus aligned community. Because, we have our people, we have our friends, we have our acquaintances, we have our loved ones, we have our family. I do think that it is in time to just have some questions for these connections and see what they mean to us, what they do to us, what they do for us, what we do for them. Because I think it's and I'm hoping to keep this short and sweet because this really is just flow of consciousness, and I may address these things at another time with much more clarity, hopefully. I think it's hard for us to talk about the fact that sometimes our people are not our people. Sometimes there are historical peoples. They are our trauma peoples, but they are not our peoples for who we currently are and who we want to be and how we want to connect. And sometimes, I think we make this harder on ourselves than it needs to be. I, for one, know that I do. But I think there's healing in acknowledging that not all our people are our people. That love can have. We want it to be so unconditional. I think true love is unconditional. I do think that sometimes we have to acknowledge that we're not all in the same place. And I don't mean that in terms of one's better than the other, but in terms of that they're just different. And sometimes that's because of our values and our traditions, but just sometimes it just is. Sometimes it's just energetically different. And that means that there are people who love each other who are not each other's people. And sometimes that shows up in the interactions when maybe you see each other, you meet up, and then after you feel drained or you feel like a piece of you is missing. I don't think it's right for us to ignore those things. I think it's important that we evaluate that and look into it. And I'm not in any way, shape, or form saying, okay, like get rid of all your folks and your friends and everything. I'm not. I'm just saying it's important to like maybe just explore that a little more, and maybe journaling or meditating on what an aligned community looks like for you. What would your ideal people look like? How, not look like in appearance, but look like, like how would they energetically vibrate? How would they embrace you? How would they welcome you into a space? How do you feel after when you're with them? how do they feel after when they're with you? I think that, I mean, that's something I'm sitting with and thinking about, and recognizing I need to spend more time on, you know, because I do think that there are your trauma people, and there's learning, there's lessons in that, and you know, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong to an extent with it, but maybe ask yourself if you want to live there. So yeah, I'm sitting with that. What would my aligned community look like? And maybe when I have some more clarity on that, that's when I can start building on that manifestation, building on seeing deeper so that I can see them. Because sometimes you have your own biases that you don't even, they're so deeply rooted that you don't even know that they're there. But I think the first step really is in how you feel after your interactions within your friend, family, acquaintance group, and then thinking about what you would want that to actually feel like. So I'm definitely sitting with that. Just quick step in communicate. Just a quick convo on communication and comprehension, especially now, especially with, you know, how everything is. Always asking ourselves, okay, there was a time when people weren't communicating at all, and so grateful for communication. But how can we elevate that with not just some, but making it important to us to comprehend and being willing to ask questions when you don't understand, and being vulnerable in that sense, and knowing that there's nothing, you should be asking questions, you should have a lot of questions. Anyone who's made you feel uncomfortable about having questions didn't want you to know whatever you needed to know. And not being afraid of being wrong, and not being afraid of needing to learn or regroup, relearn, unlearn, all those things, you know, that sometimes you don't get it right on the first try. So, you know, and also recognizing that sometimes there are those barriers there are those vibrational, energetic barriers there, and that's in addition to our regular day-to-day barriers there, that sometimes you cannot always be heard by those who don't want to hear, or just can't hear from their position, because that's just where they are and that's where you are. And that is so okay. You do as much as you can with what you have, you know, and that you take the time, even if, like, sometimes you're having a dialogue with someone and you thought you got it but you didn't get it, and then that maybe you need to come back and talk some more so that you can get it, and be willing to say you didn't get it all in that first try. I think there's a lot of healing there. That being said, especially with people of color, do not use them. People of color, black people, black women, do not use them as mules. So, like I said, you're not sure, you thought you knew, you didn't know, you come back and continue the conversation. But be fair to them, and maybe Google first too, you know. Because we have access to more information than we ever had in our entire lives, and let's make use of that and not put the effort on others, the work on others. But yes, communication, comprehension, probably need to be vulnerable in order to do the comprehension part, even though communication is a step in the right direction. Community, aligned community. So we can like really start working on our healing in ways that we don't typically discuss, healing beyond self-care. Someone said this online, I wish I remember the name, but that self-care is important. Community care is also important too. So this was a flow of consciousness. I think there's more there, but this is what was sitting on my heart today. And I'd love to hear your thoughts, as always. Most importantly, I wish you a wonderful week. Be kind to yourselves and each other. One.